Hello there, welcome to another episode of Boss Your Weight Loss Q&A with the RLB. Questions asked over on my Instagram stories, answered here on the tube. I want to do 5 in this one, so I'm not going to waffle. I'm going to get straight in with question 1, and that is from a Mr. Scott Anderson. Lost over 10 stone since Christmas. That's £140 in just over 7 months. But still feel the same. Is this normal, even though I know things are changing? Okay, I know this wasn't part of the question, but I just want to touch on something. To lose 10 stone, you need to be in about a 500,000, 500,000 calorie deficit. To do that, just over 7 months, that is pretty damn restrictive. So Scott, I just want you to be aware of that, because the more restrictive we are with our diet, the bigger the chance there is of hitting a brick wall and then regressing backwards. Our weight loss journey should be permanently changing our lifestyle for good, and generally the more restrictive the method we use, the less chance there is of that permanent lifestyle change. You know, 500,000 calories less than you've burned in 7 months. Wow. I move a lot. I'm a big guy and I move a lot. I burn around about, in a month, 95,000 calories. So for me to lose 10 stone in a month, in 7 months or so, if I divide 500,000, I'm getting my calculator out because I can't be asked doing the maths in my head. Let's say 7.5 months. That is on average a 67,000 calorie deficit. So basically, you know, I burn a lot of calories. I don't know what Scott's start weight was, but and the bigger we are, the more calories we burn. But for me to do that, it would allow me to eat about 1,000 calories a day. That isn't healthy. That is not sustainable. So, Scott, I just want you to be aware of it. And don't get me wrong, if we lose a chunk of weight in an unsustainable manner, fine, we've done it. We can't change the past. But you can switch your journey to a more healthier, sustainable approach. And that will certainly help you maintain those losses. That's just something I wanted to touch on. But I know it's not part of the question. Let's get into the question. The question is, and Scott has actually sent me a further message on this just to clarify what he meant. And basically what he means is body dysmorphia. Scott has lost 140 pounds, and I don't care whatever your start weight was. If you lose 140 pounds, there is a difference in what you see. But body dysmorphia is basically you don't see a true reflection of yourself when you look in a mirror or on photos. And it's very common, and it takes all different forms. So, you know, someone that is currently 9 stone that keeps thinking they are fat, body dysmorphia, and they look in the mirror and go, oh, I'm just a mess. Yeah, body dysmorphia. Likewise, what Scott's going through, he's lost a considerable amount of weight, but still feels he's Scott plus 10 stone. Very common in the bodybuilding industry. You got your bodybuilders there, and they look in the mirror and they look absolutely huge and hench, and everyone's like, look at the size of that person there. But when they look in the mirror, they think they're tiny. So like I say, it takes all different forms. I suffered with it in 2016. You know, I would say, and this was actually after I had one of my skin removal surgeries, so it's going to be towards the end of 2016. And I think having my skin removal surgery enhanced this, because I had my chest done and I didn't have my tummy done at the same time. And from having my chest done, it kind of accentuated, is that the right word? But basically, it made my stomach look a lot worse than it was. But I did carry a hell of a lot of loose skin on my tummy area. And when I used to look in the mirror, I just thought I was going back. I couldn't see Neil. And I was probably, towards the end of 2016, I was knocking on 15, 16 stone down, nearly at that sort of 200-pound loss marker, or maybe just over it. But yeah, I still saw 37 stone Neil in the mirror. And it might sound mad, and unless you've ever suffered with it, you can't quite sort of, grasp it. It is a tough one. And I'm the same when I see, you know, I've got a mate of mine who's a bodybuilder. He's in amazing shape. And he comes on Instagram and he's like, I can't believe how I've let myself get like this. I've not trained for a couple of months. And I'm looking at him going, You're absolutely shredded, mate. What are you talking about? But again, it's body dysmorphia. So how did I fix it? Now, I'm not saying this would fix it for anyone. Scott, I'm not saying it will sort it for you. But what I basically did was I printed out an old picture of 37 stone Neil. Just one I took off Facebook because I hated having my pictures taken when I was the size I was. So really, the only pictures I've got of me being, 37 stone as an adult is what has been posted on Facebook. But I took a picture off there, I printed it out, and I put it in my gym bag because this is where I used to suffer with it. And when I started looking in the mirror, my head started whirling like it did. Oh, you've hardly lost any weight. The scales are tricking you, they're lying to you, something like that. I'd go over to my gym bag, I'd get this photo out, and I'd look in the mirror, and I'd look at me, old me, and I'd look at new me. And you kind of go, what were you on about, Neil? That's who you used to be. This is what you see now. So, Scott, it is common. It is normal. Well, I don't know if it's normal or not. It's certainly something I've suffered with. I certainly know other people that suffer with it, not just weight loss people. Like I say, got mates that are bodybuilders that suffer with it. I've worked with people that come on board with me. I'm just, that are really unhappy with their weight. And I'm literally like, you're 5'6", you're 9 stone. You can't lose what you've not got. So yeah, it is something a lot of people do suffer with, but that's how I got over mine. But I think sometimes if you're just aware of it and you realize you're not alone with it, it makes it feel better. But that's what I did. Old picture at my heaviest, looking at that in the mirror, looking at me, looking at my old picture, looking at me, looking at my old picture. And yeah, over the space of, a good few months, it slowly sort of fizzled away. And yeah, it just sort of righted itself, as it were. Don't get me wrong now, I do look in the mirror still, and sometimes I'm a bit like, oh God, I've gained all my weight back, but I just go, sort yourself out, Neil. So yeah, I think the important thing is, Scott, it kind of, when I say, is it normal? I'm not saying everyone suffers with it, but yeah, for me personally, I think it is quite a common issue throughout a whole range of people. I've suffered with it myself, so you're certainly not on your own, mate. And yeah, I recommend trying the picture thing. See if that helps you out. Okay, question 2. My sweet tooth, any suggestions, please? Okay, so this is something a lot of people do struggle with when losing weight. And there's a few different reasons. Look, there's nothing wrong with having a sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth myself. And, every now and then I have cravings for something nice and sweet. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. We sort of live in a day and age now where it's demonized to enjoy a little bit of chocolate or a bit of cake. We've been eating cake for hundreds and hundreds of years. Yet, obesity or weight issues has only been an issue for, 40 years, 30 years, 40 years, where it's been like, right, something needs to happen here. This is getting out of hand with the, people losing weight. Obesity levels have doubled from the early 90s to now. They're double what they were. So it is a fairly not short term, but a fairly newish problem in the sort of in history, as it were. And like I say, this is where, when we start using our common sense about certain things, everyone blames bread. It's like, we've been eating, bread was invented, maybe not quite as it is nowadays, but probably about 8,000 years ago. But the actual loaf of bread, where people, might go to a baker's or bake their own loaves of bread and don't, it's because there's additives in it. That's nonsense. Calories are calories. Bread has been the same calories roughly for years and, hundreds of years. But yeah, of course it's bread's fault. Well, no, because people were actually eating way more bread because it was a cheap staple of our diet 100 years ago when there wasn't weight issues than what they were eating now. But anyway, we're getting off topic. Sweet tooth, any suggestions, please? So, yeah, the thing we have to understand is, you can eat chocolate, you can eat cakes, you can eat biscuits while losing weight. Now, cakes, biscuits, chocolates tend to be obviously a bit more calorific than, things like fruits and veggies. But yeah, as long as you're eating them within your calorie allowance, all good. So first thing I would say is don't over restrict. If you have a bit of a sweet tooth, give into it, right? over restriction will just ramp up cravings, and then people will end up overeating, even binging on sweet stuff. So you're better off having kind of little and often to kind of keep it under control. And then every now and then, again, if it fits in with your calories, no, at least once a week, I enjoy a dessert. You know, a bit of sticky toffee pudding and ice cream, or, you know, a bit of an ice cream sundae or something like that. You can do it. This weekend just gone, I had a couple of raspberry donuts from Morrison's. Absolutely sensational. One of the best ways you'll spend 215 calories. So, if you've got a sweet tooth, do not over restrict, right? If you want to have a little bit of chocolate every single day, have a bit of chocolate every single day. Having a little bit of chocolate every single day in an overall healthy, balanced diet does not make you unhealthy. And as long as it's done within your calories, will not affect your weight loss journey, fat loss journey, whatsoever. In fact, it will actually help, because if you allow yourself these things and it stops you overeating, binging further down the line, it means you can have better self-control. In terms of sweet tooth, you know, are there some lower calorie options out there? Yeah, well, not really lower calorie options. There's just a lot of options out there that are fantastic for portion control when it comes to sweet things. The classic Freddo, you know, the 95 calories. Now, a lot of people go, well, it won't even touch the sides. It actually will. You know, we have to learn some self-control. We have to, right? I had a Freddo last night because I had a bit of a sweet craving. It's 95 calories. Yeah, I'm not gorging on a great big bar of chocolate, but we shouldn't be wanting to gorge on big bars of chocolate all the time. Again, that's down to, like, you know, food addictions and stuff like that. No, if we just fancy something a bit sweet, have something a bit sweet. I tend to get a sweet craving every single night after I've had my tea. And what I normally do actually that really helps with that is a can of fizzy pop. I tend to have 1 can of fizzy pop a day. If you watch any of my social media channels, you know I do quite a lot of TikTok lives in the evening. And when I do a TikTok live in the evening, I've always got a can of, like, the Fanta Dupe from Aldi or a can of Pepsi Max. The other night I had some Dr. Pepper Zero in this mug here, and that really helps, because obviously your sugar-free pop has artificial sweeteners in it that are really sweet, like sucralose, which is based on sucrose. The sugar is 600 times sweeter than sugar. Now, there's only a tiny pinch in a diet drink, but for me, yeah, it helps with my sweet cravings. I then have a lot of portion controlled chocolate and sweets in the house. You know, one of my favourites, I was talking about this morning, Curly Whirly, 97 calories. Stick it in the fridge so it's chewy when you eat it. So A, it won't be gone in one mouthful, so you'll feel like you're having a bit more. But yeah, things like that. There's loads of under 100 calorie biscuits, and like I say, a lot of people go, well, that won't even touch the size. Touch the size of what? You should not be eating Christian chocolate because you are hungry. You should be eating Christian chocolate because you fancy some Christian chocolate. If you are genuinely hungry at night, don't turn to Christian chocolate, turn to food, right? Have a bowl of yogurt and fruit, right? Again, that's not going to light your life up. So have a bowl of yogurt and fruit to fill you up so you're not hungry anymore. Then have a Freddo for a little bit of a sweet treat. Just, like I say, make sure it all fits in with your calories. But just have a look, get yourself a good range. You know, I like what I call single wrapper biscuits, because if I open up a packet of Hobnobs, I'm eating that bloody packet of Hobnobs. It's gone, right? But I like what I call single wrapper biscuits. So things like Rockies, Gold Bars, they're all really good, like calorie controlled, portion controlled sweet stuff. I love, like, the little 100 calorie bags of cookies. So again, just giving you, you know, they're things that I'll have on a day-to-day basis if I've got a sweet craving. And then generally, because I bank calories during the week and I have a few more at the weekend for a bit more food freedom, that's when I'll have more of a dessert. But in terms of a sweet tooth, please do not over-restrict yourself. Do not say, I can't eat chocolate because I'm on a diet, but I really want chocolate. Eat chocolate. It is fine. Like I say, it's quite calorific, it's quite calorie dense, but as long as it fits in with your calories. So you might say to yourself, you know, what I did when I started my weight loss journey, actually, I used to have treat nights. And I'm a bit more flexible with that now, but I used to have these set treat nights. And that is when, like, I love Christian chocolate, or I love Christian biscuits, really. Chocolate bar with biscuit, Twix, amazing. And most Wednesday nights, I'd have a bag of crisps, and a decent bag of crisps, you know, 30, 40 gram bag of crisps, and I'd have a Twix. And that would keep me going then. And then I'd allow myself another one on a Sunday night. So it's kind of, you know, Wednesdays and Sundays was chocolate and crisp night. Now, I'm not quite as restrictive as that in terms of, you know, if I've got a sweet craving like I had last night, but I do have much better self-control over my food nowadays. You know, I just had a Freddo. That ticked the box. I had a bit of sugar-free pop while I was playing my Xbox last night. And then I just had a Freddo. So look for a lot of under 100 calorie sweet treats. So it's nice portion control. You know, Freddo and a bag of Space Raiders is 150 calories. And you've got crisps and chocolate there. And like I say, a lot of people always try to create problems for solutions. Oh, I won't, it's not a big portion. It's not. You shouldn't be eating crisps and chocolate for big portions. You should be eating it because you fancy something crunchy and salty and sweet. All right? Like I say, if you're hungry, eat proper, you know, yogurt, strawberries, whatever else, you know, make yourself some blooming poached eggs on toast. I don't know, whatever you fancy. Eat something that's going to fill you up. It's going to give you protein. It's going to give you fibre. And then have your crisps and chocolate on top if you've got the space for any calories. But yeah, overall, don't over restrict. Enjoy some sweet treats, absolutely fine. You do have to learn some self-control. Most of the time, try and work with some calorie, portion controlled single wrapper things like a Freddo, like a Curly Whirly, like a Gold Bar, like a Rocky, you know, little Rocky biscuit, something like that. And then maybe at least once a week, allow yourself something that's a bit more indulgent, that's going to really tick all the boxes. Okay, next one, number 3, sticking with it. I do a great few weeks, lose a bit, think this is the time, yet always fall into old ways. 2 reasons for this. Number 1 is method, and the importance of these 2 reasons will depend on how severe your weight issue is, right? So if you are a stone, 2 stone overweight, something like that, then generally it's down to method, right? This will become clear in a minute. If you are 15 stone overweight, then yeah, method plays a role, but the second thing I'm going to talk about will probably be more of a bigger picture thing. Anyway, number 1, method. So struggling to stick to it. If you are losing weight, and I talked about this in the first question, in an unhealthy, unsustainable, over-restrictive way, you're going to hit what I call the brick wall, right? And depending on the method, the sooner you hit the brick wall. So something like the ketogenic diet, 0 carbohydrates, brick wall pretty quick. If you are counting calories, but you're doing something like 800 calories a day, 1,000 calories a day, very restrictive, you're going to hit that brick wall pretty quickly. If you're using a less kind of restrictive method, it's still overly restrictive, but it takes a bit of longer time to hit that brick wall. Like Slimming World, 2-3 months maybe, you're still going to hit that brick wall. And this is the issue with fad diets, right? They are too restrictive and they're unsustainable, and you're going to crash and burn way before you get to your goal. And, you know, you'll probably, I do great for a few weeks. Everyone does great for a few weeks. Or even if you're eating 1,000 calories a day, not eating carbs, doing OMAD, you know, Cambridge plan, shake diets, Juice Plus, all this Slim Fast, all that absolute nonsense. Everyone does well for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. You know, the honest truth is weight loss takes time. So the method that you're going to use to lose weight needs to fit into your lifestyle because it needs to stick around. And that was, you know, one of the big reasons why I had success, because I didn't over restrict myself. I allowed myself some food freedom. I didn't beat myself up. I gave myself weight loss breaks, and all these things made the journey sustainable. And it just kind of, created this lifestyle change, that old cliche, it has to be a lifestyle change. So ask yourself one question. Whatever you're doing now to lose weight in terms of method, are you happy to do it for the rest of your life? I don't mean you need to lose weight for the rest of your life, but, you know, what you're implementing now, you know, needs to not only be there to help you lose weight, but it needs to be there so you maintain those losses. You know, so, you know, are you happy to keep drinking these shakes? Now, you might be drinking shakes that's 800 calories a day. When you reach your goal weight, you can eat your calorie maintenance. So you might be having 3 shakes a day. In a year's time, if you hit your goal weight, are you happy to have 7 shakes a day because you can have more calories, or 10 shakes a day? The answer is no, I'm only doing shakes until I hit my goal. Well, what are you going to do afterwards? Because all you're going to do then is go back into your old habits that's put you in this situation today. So number one is always method. Number two is the root core of why you have a weight issue. No one ever goes into it. Now, like I say, the more severe the weight issue, the more issues there tends to be around mentality, around food, like food addiction, emotional eating. I was 37 stone. I abused food, not because I was hungry all the time. I wasn't. I abused food because I used it as a coping mechanism. Every time I was stressed, every time I was angry, every time I was lonely, every time I was upset, I turned to food, right? And if you've got overriding negative emotions in your body, then that is what sort of creates a food addiction. That is what creates this desire, using food as a coping mechanism, a distraction, a comfort blanket, whatever the reasons. So you've got to sort it out. And there's always going to be a common trend. You know, if you're constantly stressed, you can't get rid of stress, you can't eradicate it. But, you know, I used to just, if I just had a bad day at work, I'd turn to food. We have bad days at work. It's part of life. You can't be using food as a coping mechanism for stuff that's part of life. And that's kind of what I was doing. So, you know, the things that triggered this emotional response for needing food, I had to work on it. So it's not just a case of eat less, move more. We wish it was, because if it was that simple, everyone would have fantastic weight loss journeys. But, you know, I do not know what your current situation is, how much weight you want to lose, where you're at the moment. But the two main reasons why people crash and burn way before they get anywhere near their weight loss goal, they hit that brick wall, is method and not tackling the root. Chop the head off the dandelion, it'll disappear for a little bit, but it'll keep coming back. To get rid of any weed, you've got to kill the root. You've got to pour boiling water on that root and it'll die and go for good. That is what you need. Why are you in this situation with your weight? You've got to fix it. I've said two reasons. I am going to chuck a third one in there because I think some people don't want to face this. There is another honest truth as well. The honest truth is, how much do you want it? How much do you want it? So, and that does come down to method a little bit, or maybe it comes down to mentality. So maybe it is covered in the first two. But we also have to accept some people just aren't willing to put in what is needed to have a successful weight loss journey. It does take effort. It takes, you know, discipline, takes determination, takes levels of willpower. And to be honest with you, if weight loss isn't a priority to you, it isn't, you know, something, you know, I'd like to be a bit thinner, I'd like to be this, like that, but it just isn't that important to you, you're also going to struggle to be consistent. So maybe there's three things, but yeah, have a think. Do any of those resonate with you? And if they do, make the changes. You can do it. Okay, next one, number 4, keeping food varied to stay interesting, full of flavour and stay on track. Yeah, big thing. I talked about this actually in my community Zoom session today, was how I sort of started improving my eating for weight loss, because I always used to follow, you know, the old weight loss rules. Basically, if it tastes amazing, it makes you fat. So you've got to eat boring, bland food to lose weight. And it's just a load of nonsense. So basically what I used to do, and I follow this method now, is when I started my weight loss journey though, I kind of wrote down a list of all the foods I enjoyed eating. You know, from cottage pie to roast dinners to English breakfast to pizza to burger and chicken. I wrote all these foods down that I love eating. And then I just worked on making all those dishes healthier, you know, and it can be, you can make anything better calories or lower calories and it can still taste amazing. It really, really can. So first of all, you know, keeping food varied, you'll never struggle to be consistent with changing your eating if you are enjoying your food. So, you know, an example for me, yeah, I used to love spaghetti bolognese, right? And I used to, you know, oil in a pan, onions, garlic, all the bit, 20% fat mince. I used to have a portion of spaghetti that would feed a family. And you know, I just made some simple swaps. I used to, you know, I started using 5% fat mince to save calories. Didn't need, just use a really good non-stick pan, so didn't need any oil in the pan. Actually started weighing out my pasta, 100 grams of dry pasta rather than, you know, something like that. And you know, I love eating spaghetti bolognese. I used to put half a ton of cheddar cheese on my spag bol. Now I put, you know, a sprinkle of Parmesan on there. And when I was 37 stone, my spaghetti bolognese was probably 1,500 calories a portion. The spag bol I eat now is 600 calories a portion. It still tastes amazing. Because with these simple swaps, the food still tastes good. It tastes even better. I'll tell you why, because there's zero guilt of eating it. So you've got to enjoy the food you love, right? So rather than just thinking, I need to eat this for weight loss, everyone's salads and new potatoes and grilled chicken and boiled veg and like Mediterranean veg roast. I'm not saying that's not nice. I'm not. But we have this really negative association with diet food. There's no such thing as diet food. To lose body fat, you need to consume less calories than you burn. So I just recommend cracking on and eating the food that you enjoy, but just looking at ways to make it more calorie controlled that fits in with your calories. And that can be making some simple swaps with ingredients. So using 5% fat mince instead of 20% fat mince. You get 5% fat burgers now. You can get reduced fat cheeses now. And then obviously the other thing is portion control. So I've got 800 calories for my tea. This is what I used to do. I've got 800 calories for my tea and I want burger and chips. How do I make burger and chips that's going to give me a decent portion that fits in with my calories? And literally 5% fat beef burger, low fat cheese slice, 1 bacon medallion. I've got a bacon cheeseburger and a brioche bun, right? It's like 350 calories. You're right. You might put some lettuce on there. You might put some onion on there just to bulk it out a little bit. 300 grams of air fried chips is about 260 calories, 270 calories. And next thing you've got cheeseburger and chips for about 600, 700 calories. Right, whereas most people they'll you know, chip pan might be out, or they'll put a big portion of, you know, I used to make a burger and chips. I'd just get any burgers, fry them in a pan, fried onions with them, great big massive barm cake, 3 burgers on there, load of fried onions, butter the barm as well, 2/3 of a bag of oven chips in the oven, and again a mountain of food that's just cooked with just willy-nilly, with absolutely no, you know, sort of inkling of trying to make things a bit healthier and a bit lower in calories. So, but everything I eat, I love eating. If you are struggling for inspiration, I do a weekly weight loss vlog, and in my weekly weight loss vlog, I sort of post pictures of what I eat on a day-to-day basis. Main meals is mainly what I post, and I'm not saying that you need to eat the way I eat, but it might just give you a little bit of inspiration, because yeah, a lot of people have got very negative associations. Other things that I do recommend though is to go on a weight loss journey, we need to consume less calories than we burn. The most calorific macronutrient we consume is fat. So a lot of stuff, you're going to reduce your fat intake. You just are. So I've just said there, 20% fat beef mince to 5% fat beef mince. You're taking 50% of the fat out. You're taking a chunk of flavour out. You know, a ribeye steak is always going to have a lot more flavour than a fillet steak. Why? Because it's got a lot more fat in it, and fat is flavour. So you've got to get a bit jazzy. Get a bit jazzy as well. So, you know, get all your herbs, get all your seasonings in. You know, you should have onion granules, garlic powder, paprika, salt, black pepper. They should be in your cupboard, right? If you go to Aldi, I always have from Aldi the peri-peri salt, the chicken seasoning. I just have a cupboard full of different spices. I also have a cupboard full of sauces. So sugary sauces, yes, they contain sugar, but it's not the enemy, are miles lower calorie than fatty sauces. So what is a fatty sauce? Mayonnaise, saucy sauce, you know, that I'm thinking of what's in my cupboard now. You know, things like the Heinz Morley's fried chicken sauce, or, you know, Perinase, stuff like that. These are all going to be much higher in calories than barbecue sauce, tomato ketchup, sweet chili dressings. So again, make sure you've got a good variety of sauces in, a good variety of herbs in, get your seasonings in. You know, you grill a piece of chicken with a bit of salt on, it's all right, innit? Bit bland, bit boring. You get some of that chicken seasoning from Aldi and give your chicken breast a dusting in that stuff and a little bit of salt. It takes it to another level. So yeah, herbs, flavouring, spices, all that stuff, some good sauces, but most of all, eat the foods you enjoy eating. Just work on making them, you know, little simple swaps here and there to make it healthier and lower calorie. And you can still eat delicious food. You honestly can. But again, watch my weekly weight loss vlog. Hopefully it'll give you a little bit of inspiration. All right, we're going to do one more. Let's get one more in from Kirsty. How do I stop snacking from being bored? Stop being bored, Kirsty. I'm not being a knob when I say that. I'm not, honestly. I'm not being pedantic, but that is the honest truth. You know, you obviously recognise that, you know, boredom eating triggers overeating. So you know what your triggers are. You know what it's going to be. So when is it? When are you bored? When is this boredom eating kicking in? Is it, do you have a sedentary day job? Is it when you're watching the TV at night time? Is it when you're chilling on a Sunday afternoon? When are these boredom triggers? And you've got to break it up. You've got to break the monotony up. So boredom and monotony are kind of one and the same thing when it comes to eating. The body does not like to be not doing anything. So yeah, you might be watching TV, you might be looking at a computer screen typing. The body doesn't like that. The body wants us to be moving around, and it kind of activates our hunger hormones. It's kind of like a hunger hormone activation thing to get us up and moving about. Why? Because 10,000 years ago, we were hunter-gatherers and you go roaming the plains to find food. Nowadays, we just wander to the fridge and come and sit back down. So, yeah, what are your triggers? I'll tell you my triggers. Now, just because these are my triggers might not be your triggers, but this is when I do struggle to kind of control appetite and boredom eating kicks in. I do a sedentary day job sat at my desk, and if I sit here for an hour or so, hour and a half, my hunger hormones can start to kick in. So what do I do about that? Well, every hour I get up and mooch about. Like, I've sat down recording this content now. By the time I've recorded it, maybe edited it a bit, this, that, and that, I'll have sat here for over an hour, even though it's only a 30-minute or so video. So as soon as I've finished recording this, I'll get up, and already I'm sat here going, I actually need to go and put something in the dryer. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I'll go and do it, and it'll take me 2 or 3 minutes, but it'll break up the monotony of sitting down. Then I'll come back down here and I'll work for another hour. Then I'll get up and do something else. So if one of your triggers is a sedentary day job, every hour, get up and mooch about. If you're in an office, just go for a little walk about. Let me get some steps in. Go for a pee. Go fill your water pot up or whatever you're drinking out of. So break the monotony up. Other things that cause Sunday afternoons for me. Sunday afternoon is my chill out day, and I like nothing more on a Sunday afternoon than sitting my bottom on the sofa and not moving. You know, playing my Xbox, watching the footy, watching a film or something like that. But it is a day I do struggle to control my calories. Now, Sunday for me is always a higher calorie day, so that kind of helps to counterbalance it. And I quite enjoy snacking a bit on the sofa in the afternoon. But if you're someone that, you know, you get on the sofa at 7:30 at night, and then at 9 o'clock at night, your hunger hormones are triggering, because although you might be enjoying watching what you're watching, it does trigger a bit of boredom and monotony in the body. Then again, same as sitting, you know, sit down for an hour, get up, go mooching about. You know, when would you go for an evening walk? Well, if you sort of get everything settled and everything done for 7:30, have 45 minutes on the sofa, then go for a 15-minute walk, then come back and have another 45 minutes on the sofa. You know, maybe if your hunger hormones are triggering, boredom eating's triggering, instead of walking to the fridge, walk out the front door and go and have a wander for 10-15 minutes, then come back. It'll take your mind off it. A lot of people use the excuse of being too busy to focus on themselves and to lose weight. Being busy is actually one of the best support tools for weight loss. Having a mental busy life, because really the stuff we need to do to lose weight takes minutes a day. In all honesty, yeah, you might need to go for a bit of a walk and this and another, but we're talking about tracking calories, planning a bit of food, cooking food. It's just part of life, isn't it? Right? How many of you watching this, you know, video now have been sat there, you've been that mad busy at work, and next thing it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you've not even eaten yet? Great. that being busy is a massive distraction from food. Having lots of time on your hands, oh, I'm just waiting for things to settle down, then I can concentrate on me. You're not going to concentrate on you, you're going to concentrate on the fridge, right? Because too much time on your hands, boredom eating. So you've just got to recognize your triggers for boredom eating and counterbalance those triggers. Stop being bored. Stop the body feeling bored, right? It's nice getting on the couch and chilling out, but if you do it for too long, there's a chance it's going to, trigger overeating or trigger your hunger hormones. Likewise, you might have a choice. You've got a sedentary day job. You have got a choice about getting up every hour and mooching about. I've worked for different companies. I work for myself. No one in an office is going to go, what are you doing? Well, I'm just going to stretch my legs and get a drink of water and go for a pee. All right, fine. Right? Do that every hour. If you're sitting there for 3, 4, if you get into the office at 8:30, 8:45, and the next time you move from your desk is dinner time, make the change. So yeah, just recognize the triggers of this boredom eating and do things to counterbalance it, counteract it. You can do it. It's different for everybody. And likewise, certain times, like I've just said there, Sunday afternoons on the couch, I have a few more calories. So I know my boredom eating is probably going to kick in, but I've accounted for it. I've planned for it, and I've got a few more calories to enjoy. Yeah, some healthy boredom eating on the couch, because if it fits in with your calories and your overall diet's good over a week, yeah, it's healthy. Anyway, there we go. That's my tips to help with snacking from being bored. And like you say, snacking is like your mid-afternoon, your mid-morning, your mid-afternoon, your nighttime stuff. Break up the boredom. Stop being bored. Right, everybody, that is it for another episode. Have I kept it to around 30 minutes? I have no idea. I'm probably about 36 or 37. Anyway, 5 questions answered. Hope you found those a help. And until next time, in whichever format you are watching me, make sure you boss your weight loss.